So I arrived at Ocean Village Marina, which is where we are now. Last night we arrived. In the background there is the Gemini, that's what we sailed in on. I've had 3 days of sailing here in the Solent. Ocean Village Marina is on the River Ejayyn, off of Southampton waters. This is a beautiful marina, but the shower facilities and so on aren't that great. But fantastic pub, nightlife, great hotels here. But we're not staying in the hotel, we're staying on the boat. That's the way it is. Now, how have I been doing? Well, I can't remember, last vlog last video I may have mentioned that I was still having concerns about just generally being at the helm and giving instructions to my crew in terms of, you know, get to the mast, and have another crew member stand by on the main, stand by on the kicker, the vang, and then release the main sheet, release the vang, start hauling up the main sail at the mast with the halyard, someone at the halyard, at the winch inside the cockpit. So just going through that process, just making sure everything's in order. I think I was never really comfortable that I was getting that right, but this time seems as though it was working rather well. I have a lot to do with the instructor. I'm now at the helm of the Gemini with 3 other crew members. The wind is extremely light, which interestingly does not make this training session any easier. We're working on a man overboard maneuver. So a fender, the bucket is dropped overside. As soon as the casualty falls overboard, someone shouts, "Man overboard." Now, an effective method to retrieve a man overboard under sail is, in this case, I'm at the helm. I will continue sailing for several boat lengths until I get to a point where I can bear away or tack so that I get onto a broad reach, which means the wind is behind me, coming over my left or my right shoulder. Then I've got to use my own judgment of distance to decide when to turn onto a beam reach. And as you can see, I'm figuring that out at the moment. Wind is very, very important because we're doing all of this under sail, and we've really got to take into account the wind strength and the speed that the boat is actually moving at. When you're close enough to the casualty, when you feel that you're close enough, and that could mean another 10 boat lengths away, again it depends on wind strength, speed of the boat, you gradually turn up into the wind so that the boat comes to a stop, and well, almost a virtual stop, and you're alongside the casualty, and the casualty should be on your lee side, so the wind isn't going to push you away from the casualty. So what I'm trying to do, you'll see here in a moment, is come up alongside. So the wind would be on my left, so it's pushing me onto the casualty, not away from the casualty. You can just about see, well, not now, you could have seen, but it's coming alongside now. In fact, this is a very successful maneuver. You may be able to see the fender just on the right I'm getting the thumbs up from the instructor for a good job, well done. I don't know if you'll see it, but it's just, there it is. So that's perfect. I've virtually brought the yacht to a stop, a standstill, and close enough to retrieve the man overboard. So yeah, that was done rather well.
You've got that on camera.
Proof that I know how to coil a rope.
One of our crew down there, filling up the water tanks, hanging out the towels to dry. Just finished showering there. Bavaria 37-foot cruiser. And that's who we're with, Solent Boat Training. Yesterday we did a number of different manoeuvres for developing our skills. We're trying to pick up a fender and bucket that we're throwing into the ocean, and then various different methods to pick this simulated man overboard, pick him up. That was quite interesting. I think we were quite successful, all of us, in doing that. You really have to know where the wind is coming from. But I think that was quite successful. This is the area where we're doing our manoeuvres. Basically practicing mooring alongside pontoons, turning the boat in a very short distance. That's the area that we've got to turn the boat in, and then come out of there, and then basically come alongside the pontoon here and moor up.
It may not seem very difficult to do, but it's a 10-ton floating object, and because of wind and tide it will move where you do not want it to. And furthermore, you cannot steer the boat unless you have water flowing over the rudder. So you are continuously giving the engine short bursts of power forward and aft. This is definitely not intuitive. It does take some practice. Unlike this poor chap, fortunately we had no mishaps. Our sailing area and the skipper.